All right. What is a hormone? This is on page 26. Once in the blood, the hormone is either bound or free. The majority is bound. Why is it? Because you can avoid extreme sudden reactions. You want to be able to, hormones are very strong and sensitive. They can cause a lot of things. So you want to have plenty around, but you don't want to have too much exposed. It avoid extreme sudden reactions, prevent rapid metabolism, and avoid peaks and valleys in the hormones. Okay? Because again, they are very potent. Bound versus free. Most of the hormone is bound. Usually 98, 99, 98. 97%. You see estrogen, 99% is bound, only 1% is free. Testosterone, the same thing. Here's the key point in this, okay? What's in the serum is bound and unbound. We're going to show you that in just a minute, okay? You can change the amount of free hormone without changing the total. Okay, that's very easy to see. If I take that 69% bound by sex hormone binding globulin and make that 68, and take that 1% and put it over here on the free, and we're going to see in just a moment that the free is the important part. By what percentage have I increased the free amount? 100%. What have I done to the total? Zilch. Okay? So if you are looking at the bound and the unbound in the serum, you don't have any idea how much is active. And remember, the only red word that I had in those objectives were action. That's the important part, is how much is active, how much is free. Okay, now this is in Speroff. This is not something I made up or Dr. Zaba or Dr. Mead made up. This is in Speroff. Serum measurements of steroid hormones. Unable to easily distinguish between bound and free estrogen and testosterone. Has a large normal range. And what's that last bullet point say? Provides limited clinically useful information. Now, that Speroff said that. And what's the copyright of this book? This is from 1994. This is the fifth edition. What I showed you was the sixth edition, which was like 2006 or something. So 1994, it tells us that serum measurements provide limited clinically useful information. And how were most people measuring testosterone? In the serum. So don't say that Dr. Taylor is against blood testing and I'm telling you, it provided limited clinical information. When I relied on blood testing, which we never did, I didn't rely on it. When I did 4 years of residency in OBGYN at Emory University, that's about 10 miles down the road, I never once, never, ever, never, ever ordered a serum estradiol. Never. Never. How many times did I do it? Never. Never ordered a serum testosterone. Never. Because even though it wasn't said, it didn't provide any clinically useful information. People who've heard me before, how do we make hormone decisions? We ask the patient what question? How old are you? There you go. That's all you need to know. That's how you get clinically useful information. Ask the patient how old they are. If they're young women with a hormone problem, you give them birth control pills. If they're not older women, I can't say older women, more mature women, because isn't it amazing? I don't know if you've gotten to this point. When I first started practicing, all my patients were older than me. And now, there's nobody older than me. I'm not even that old. God, I mean, but anyway, so I can't say older women anymore. But anyway, more mature women, you gave them hormone replacement. And the equal opportunity employer in this is antidepressant. Doesn't matter what age they are, you can give them an antidepressant. And that's how we made hormone decisions. It wasn't on serum levels, and it wasn't on any of that stuff. Serum measurement of steroid hormones provide limited clinically useful information. Why is that? Because steroid hormones are fat soluble. They're conjugated and bound in the liver to carrier proteins, and only the unbound bioavailable portion is clinically significant. Only the unbound portion is significant. That's all that's important. So that 1% to 2%, that's the key. Doesn't matter how much the total is. Okay, so what you got to think about is that when you were trying to get that man's serum testosterone level back to the point where it was when he was 25, how much of that serum level was bound and how much was unbound? That's the problem. And that's what you didn't know when you were looking at that. Steroid hormones cross the cell membrane by simple diffusion. The concentration of free hormone in the bloodstream seems to be an influential determinant of cellular function. The amount of free hormone in the bloodstream, not the total amount, the amount of free. Biological activity is maintained only while the nucleoside is occupied with the hormone receptor complex. So this is how it works. Hormone goes in, binds the receptor, binds to the DNA. The DNA makes messenger RNA, and then you get protein synthesis, and then the receptor is recycled, and it can take more hormone there. Okay? Biologic and metabolic effect is determined by the cell's ability to receive and retain the hormone. For estradiol to have an effect, it must be grasped by a receptor within the cell. Estradiol may produce its effect several times before it's metabolized. And just since testosterone is in the news, we talked about estrogen because this is a gynecologic endocrinology book. Let's talk about it with any hormone. Let me ask you this. If the hormone is inside the cell, that's the bloodstream in the red, if it's in the cell and it's producing its effect several times before it is metabolized, see that word retain? If the hormone is in the cell and it's being retained in the cell, and where is the action taking place? Is the action taking place in the bloodstream or in the cell? Okay, so the hormone's in the cell. It's being retained by the cell. It's having its activity in the cell. And it's having its activity over and over again. If it's in the cell, this is the basic law of physics. If it's in the cell, where is it not going to be? It's not going to be, it can't be in two places at one time. So if it's in the cell and I'm looking for it in the bloodstream, I'm not going to see it. Is this not too high level for you, is it? Are you an OBGYN? It's not too high level for you. Yeah, you're honorary. Did you get that question right? Yeah, well then, it's not high level math here, you guys. If the action is in the cell, you don't need to be monitoring blood levels to figure out if it's too high or too low. Okay, so let's